Hello, I'm married to Kamaisa one time. There was a chusen. I just got married. Shabbos Sheva Brachas. And he's about to go to shul, Shabbos, morning for Shabbos Sheva Brachas. The shver is waiting for him. He's all excited. He makes sure he set about 16 alarms to make sure he's going to get there on time. He's not going to be late for the first Shabbos after he gets married. And he realizes, oy vay, verfallen, I made a big mistake. What was the mistake? His shver bought him azar talis. Wow. Mamash a talis with the atoras, with all the everything. With anything you can add onto a talis, it's right there. Mamash, not only a Torah over here, Torah on the side, the middle, Mamash, everything's there. It's moedik azar talis. Wow. His shver was all excited. His son-in-law's going to come in with azar talis, makes him proud. And then he remembered. He asked his shver, do me a favor. Please do not make the tzitzis on the talis. I prefer to make them myself. I have certain chumras, whatever. I want to do it myself. And then he remembered Shabbos morning. He forgot to make the tzitzis. Now what's he meant to do? To walk in without the tzitzis, there's a bezoyin. So the Maisa chapped the taiva, and he tied the tzitzis on Shabbos Kodesh. He did it on Shabbos morning before he went to shul. The shaila is he allowed to have hana? Is he allowed to even wear such a talis? So where are we coming from, Rabbi Yisrael? We're coming from a very important halacha. We're coming from a very important and...
Don't even have hana from such a talis?
Meaning even without the shaila.
Rabbi,
So we're coming from the shaila like this.
I actually don't chap. If he's so from that he has to tie it himself, I think he'd be from enough to know the halachas of tying it.
That's a gewaldige point. That's true, but unfortunately, no. So let me say this. Where are we coming from? Let's discuss the shaila. Okay? We haven't discussed this for a number of years, although you guys have actually learned this in the morning, but I feel that's important to do this because a few reasons. I'll give you an example. A chassan, one of the chassanim that I'm zoichet to be Masada Kedushin in a few weeks, Be'ez Hashem, called me this morning and he wanted to know about the Eidim. How does it work with the Eidim? Because he wants to make sure that I'm not going to, under the chuppah, you're not going to say, no, not this guy, not that guy. So he wants to make sure in advance that we sort everything out. So I told him, make sure they know Hilchos Kosher. Huh? No, make sure they know Hilchos Kosher. Shin Yud Zayin in Shulchan Aruch, everyone knows, right? He's like, what, Sheikh? No, I'm talking about Eidim under the chuppah by Masada Kedushin. What's it got to do with Hilchos Kosher other than Hilchos Shabbos? So I said, no. Everyone knows the Ramah in Kosher Mishpat, Siman Lamed Dalet, Siv Chavav, says very clearly that everyone who has to be a kosher aid has to know halacha. Kagain! What's the one example that the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah bring as a yid that's kosher le'edus? If he knows Hilchos Kosher. A yid knows Hilchos Kosher, he's kosher le'edus. So I told the chassan, make sure the Eidim know Hilchos Kosher, because if not, I don't know if they can be an Eid under the chuppah, and then the whole marriage is on Challah, Hashem Yirachim, what can happen after that? You understand what I'm saying? It's a gefährlich Chazach. Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal writes in the Sefer, he writes there that even if a person learns Siman Shin Yud Zayin, which you guys did, it's a Safek Godel if you know anything practically halacha l'maisa. It's a very hard siman to get anything from it practically halacha l'maisa. So that is the reason why I wanted to mention it. I mean, Baruch Hashem, now we have this that we can help us out with some of the halacha l'maisa. This is the first share, by the way. Today's the first share that we're giving based on the Sefer. Although this is in the kitchen, but there's many shalis that are negay in the kitchen, but we're going to sprout also to some of the shalis that are not so negay in the kitchen. So the Maisa like this. Let's begin and let's try to understand the halacha. It's a very, very practical halacha. It's very negeya. Come out every Shabbos, we're going to have these shilas. So, Lemaisa, where do we begin from? We begin, as we always do, from the Mishnah, the Gemara Be'etzem. The Gemara in Ayin Daled Amud Beis brings a shilah. Where do we learn Kosher from? Why is Kosher? We know that the Mishnah quotes very simply, Ayin Gimel Amud Beis, the Mishnah says that Kosher is one of the Lamates Malachas. Why? Where was it done in the Mishkan? So it's a huge shilah in the Gemara Ayin Daled, exactly where Kosher tying comes from in the Mishkan. For whatever reason, we're going to go through not all the sheeters over there, but it was basically the areas, the curtains that they had with the pegs that they used to tie it over there, and that was where the kosher, they used to tie knots, the pegs onto the curtains. That was the issa of kosher. That's the makar. That's where it happened in the Mishkan, at least according to some sheeters, and therefore that's how we know that tying a knot on Shabbos Kodesh is a problem in that case. Now, to understand the malacha, let's understand it for a moment. what is the definition of kosher? How do we define the malacha of kosher? So we define kosher as connecting two things. So everybody asks the kasha, the Mechavis Mishnah, the Rosh Hashanah, everybody asks the kasha. So what's the difference between kosher and toifa? What's toifa in English?
Small tie.
Mini tie.
Anyone? Ah!
Sewing.
We all got people have
Zeb Bergman Shkoyach, it's sewing. Gewaldig, beautiful. That's amazing. That is great. So that's the kasha. Tully, what are you telling her? What's the difference, right, lemaisa, between kosher and toifa? Both of them are connecting two things. It's the same thing. Why do we have two of the lamatas malachas that are basically doing the same thing? That's the shaila. So it's a good question. It's not my kasha. The Aruch HaShulchan, Rav Moshe talks about it in Gus Moshe. Rav Moshe says that, and this the Aruch HaShulchan also explains, that kosher is to take two separate things and tie them together, but they remain separate. To take two strings and tie them together, there are two strings here. They just happen to be tied with a knot together. They're two separate things tied together. Masha'inkin toifa becomes one thing. When I take the threads and I make it into a jacket, and make it into a piece of material, it's not two threads tied together. It's one zach. You understand? That's the difference between kosher and toifa. Now, Mechavis Mishnah says that kosher is taking two things and tying them together, right, with a knot, whereas toifa is the al yidei dava acher. For example, either with a stitch, with a staple, with glue, or anything like that. So you're taking two things with a third thing and sticking them together or tying them together. That, says the Mechavis Mishnah, is the nafkamina between kosher and toifa. Now, let's explain halacha l'maisa, because this is very negeya. This is the gate to making a tie on Shabbos. This is the gate to tzitzis on Shabbos. This is the gate if you wear a hoodie. This is the gate if you tie a garbage bag. This is the gate to diapers. There are so many shaylas that come into these things. Tying shoelaces. Who said that? You?
No, I said that.
The pious. Tying the pious. How does that work? Right? The matzah. That's a big zach, right? That's a vada. We have to know how to do that after the mikvah, schita. What happened? Anyway, so let's start with the different shitas of what is mutter, what is asa, and what's a daraisa, and what's a drabonon, and then we'll get to a lot of the practicalities of how this works. So there are three madregas. The Gemara tells us in Shabbos Kuf Yud Aleph, there are three madregas of kosher. There's the nisa daraisa, there's the nisa drabonon, and there's mutter lechatchila. And we have to know the difference between them because it's the difference between chiyuv skila and mutter lechatchila. Okay? So what are they? Listen very carefully. Shitas HaRambam, which is also Rabbeinu Hanan and the Meiri and Pashtus the Shulchan Aruch also, is that in order for something to be kosher daraisa, I need two things, two conditions. What are the two things? Number one, it has to be a maisa uman. That means the knot has to be a professional knot. And number two, it has to be la'olam. It has to be forever, which we will define what that means, of course. So according to the Rambam, Rabbeinu Hananel, the Meiri, and Azoi Paskin Shulchan Aruch, right, Yaakov, the only way to have kosher da'oraisa is if I have two conditions. Condition number one is a maisa uman, it's a professional knot, which we'll talk about. And condition number two, Tuli, is that it's done la'olam. That means, according to the Rambam, if it's not la'olam, or it's not professional, in other words, if you're missing one of the two conditions, then it's no longer nisa daraisa. It doesn't make it mutar lechatchila, but it can be nisa darabanan, not a daraisa. Okay? That's level number one. Level number two, Rashi, Shitas Rashi, which is not only Rashi, which is also the Ritva and the Oizarua and the Torah and the Rekeach and the Ravid, Rabbeinu Yerucham and Pashtus the Ramah, hold that like this. If it's kayama, it's a kesher shel kayama, meaning kesher shel kayama means it's going to last for a long time, which we will define. That's a daraisa. If it's lower down than that, which means it's not going to last forever, that's a durabanan. And if it's 1 day or maybe 7 days, that will be mutar lechatchila. Now the Ramah Meiser is choishish also for the other sheet of the Rambam, which means the Ramah is choishish also for a Meiser Uman as well, which we will discuss. So it comes out like this: if you have a knot that is la'olam, which we will define what that means. If it's there for a long, long time, that's going to be pashtus or daraisa almost according to everyone. If it's basically a professional If it's a professional or time, then that would come out, at least according to the Ramah, for sure will be a Durabanan. But again, we are Kosher that a Doraisa. If something that's less than a day, for sure it's going to be more Mekel, right? Which we'll discuss a tie being less than a day, or shoelaces, for example, if that can be more Mekel in that case. We will discuss that. Now, what does it mean, Kesher Shel Kayama? What does it mean, a Kesher, a knot that is there for a long time? What is defined as a long time, right? Does it have to actually last for years and years, or is it enough to last for a couple of weeks? How does it work? And it's a major nafkamina halacha lemaisa. Okay, so most Rishonim learn that over here it's not the pshat that I need it to last forever, but rather I have no reason to open such a knot ever. Okay, that's how the Ritva, the Levush, the Bach, the Taz, the Eli Rabbah, the Shulchan Aruch Harav, and the Mishnah Berurah paskin, that as long as I don't have a reason to open it, doesn't have to last forever, that's called Kesher Shel Kayama, which is again going to be a D'oraisa in that case, which the Be'alacha says, by the way, it doesn't necessarily go according to each individual. If the Derech HaOlam is to leave this knot tied, then it's considered to be a Kesher Shel Kayama.
So the same knot for two different objects will be a different size.
Could be a different size, correct. Also, if you go to one of these old shuls where they do when they give you glila, so nowadays, Baruch Hashem, it's very easy. They have a little click, right? Either a click, literally like a buckle, or they have sometimes the little three little round circles put inside. This is simple. But if you go to the old shuls, right? Round and around, and they used to tie it and knot it and zach it. It's a whole matzav over there, right? Right? Are you allowed to do that on Shabbos? I was once in a shul, Shabbos afternoon, a guy comes running in, he opens the Aron HaKodesh, what is going on over here? I need to untie the Sefer Torah. Huh? What are you doing? No, I got Galina today, and I realized that I did it wrong, and I did a double knot, whatever it was, he did that, it was wrong. I wanted to make sure it lasts less than a day, and therefore I took it out on Shabbos to make sure that I wouldn't be over on the Issa, right? Because this is a major problem for a person that doesn't know the halachas, as we said, he's posaledus, forget about everything else, right? What about, for example, like this, Rabbi Say? This is Nagay, I'll give you an example. What happens if you tie a knot in a bag? You take down the garbage, right? You're a good, wonderful husband, and you take down the garbage, and you tie a knot in the garbage bag so that it doesn't spill out, and it's easy to take down and throw it in, whatever, right? So you tie a knot, right? You tie a knot. That knot I don't need for very long. Now the mitzias is that it's going to last for a long time, because nobody's going into the garbage and untying it. So it's going to last for a long time, but I don't need it to last for a long time. What din does that have in that case? What happens if you have a knot that I don't need for a long time, but the mitzias is it's going to last for a long time?
That's the thing of muksa.
What?
Muksa, you can't.
Why is it mukta?
Anyway.
Why is it mukta? Release for what? I'm talking about if I'm allowed to tie a knot like that. I'm talking about, am I allowed to tie a knot that I don't need for a long time, but Mitzias says it's going to last for a long time? Okay? I thought you guys are going to answer me. Isn't that a Rashi in Sukkah Lamed Gimel on the base? Right? Nochi was like, yeah, that's Rashi in Sukkah Lamed Gimel on the base. Right? What is it? It talks about the lulav over there. It talks about the igad on the lulav. It's a mitzvah, there, kelim baveh, whatever. Haikas in the Gemara. So the shayla is over there. Is if you tie it on Yom Tov, right? Which is of course Yom Tov and Kosher is the Zelbazach Shabbos. I don't need it to last for a long time. But the mitzvah says nobody that I know goes after Sukkot untying the knot that he made the kesher around the lulav. He may take it off by Shana Rabbah, that's the first one, but Al Kapon and the rest of them, nobody's untying. So what's the din if I don't need it, but the Lamaisa it lasts for longer? Rashi is machmeh. And not only is Rashi machmeh, the Rivosh is machmeh, the Levush is machmeh, the Heilige Shulchan Aruch Harav and Graz is machmeh, and the Marshag, Rav Elyashiv, many others also are machmeh in that case. Shlomo Zalman wants the taina that you can't bring a raya from the Rashi in Sukkah, right? Mistama what the Olim were bothered by. You're bringing me a raya by Hilchas Lulav. You're bringing me a raya over there. That's not a good raya, because over there the pshat is I want the kesher. Why do I want the not Zukah B'Shlomo Zalman? Because it's a mitzvah. Mimela, I want the kesher. You can't say that, Masha. Ain't came over here. I don't want the kesher. I just want the garbage not to spill out. So according to that, it could be more of a mocker to makel. But we have to discuss, I don't know if we're going to get so much time now, but we're going to have to discuss the different types of knots that people do on the garbage bag and various other places, whether or not those are mutter and asa. So let's just start the sugya, and Mitzvah tomorrow we'll continue, okay? Shittas Rambam. what does it mean a Kesher Uman? What does it mean a professional knot? What is a professional knot? So the Rambam says an Uman means like a knot that sailors make on boats with the anchor. Or for example, camel riders, they put on the nose, right? They put on the nose ring, they have a special knot that they do. That's a professional knot. A professional knot, says the Rambam, that's Osa. Says the Ramah, and he brings the Shulta Geborim, that the Ramah says, we don't know what that is. We don't know what is a Kesher Uman. And therefore, any knot, says the Ramah, as it explains in the Taz and the Be'alocha, that is tight and will not come undone, is considered to be a Kesher Uman. Which means, if it's a Kesher Uman, which means any tight knot that doesn't come undone by itself, and it's going to last, because there's no reason to open it, is going to be an Issa D'Oraisa Kamad according to everyone. Which means a person has to be very, very careful. For example, let's say, and the Ramah brings this example, if you have a double knot. What is the din if you have a double knot? So you take one knot and then you tie another knot. Now the general mahalach is when you have a knot, kesher, what we call kesher al gabe kesher, a knot on top of a knot, it doesn't generally become undone. So that would be an Issa D'Oraisa. I once saw a guy, this is Rabbi said, this is La'aleinu such a Maisa, we should never know such a thing. I saw a guy on Yom Kippur, he's sitting in shul on Yom Kippur, and he's tying his tzitzis. And he's tightening the knots of all four corners of it. I ran over to him. Yom Kippur! Oh, what do you mean? Tzitzis? What am I doing? You're tying the double knot. People don't chap. When you have tzitzis, they become loose. Even if you're just tightening the knot, that's an Issa D'Oraisa right there. Because at the end of the day, it's a kesher gabe kesher. That's a knot on top of a knot. It lasts for a long time. That's called, the Ramah says, kesher uman. Boom! It's over. Hillel Shabbos! Shabbos! That's what we have to do. Okay. Moving. Finished. No, we can't be Semech on the Rambam. The Ramah's Kosher for both. That's it. It's over. Rabbi said that's what it is. Okay. Rabbi said there's a lot more to do. We've got a lot more to do. What's that? That what? Tzitzis is loose. No, it doesn't. If the halach of it tzitzis is that as soon as you tighten it, it immediately becomes undone. Then I hear. But I think it lasts for a bit. It lasts for a bit generally, especially if you tighten it tight. Right? They ask if you're allowed to wear tzitzis on Shabbos Ya'eh, because to a gzeira that you may come to tighten it on Shabbos, and that'll be asked. Rabbi Chaim says we don't make our own gzeiras. Chazal make gzeiras and that's it. Rabbi say join us tomorrow with Hashem for more. Have a wonderful day.